What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's another Music Gear Monday. I'm Carl Carell. Today we are looking at Universal Audio's Spark plugins. Universal Audio launched these plugins a little while ago. I actually got an email for a subscription in December around Christmas time. Maybe some of you guys got that as well. It allowed you to basically get 3 months for like $1 a month just to try it out. If you're not familiar with Universal Audio, they've been around for a good chunk of time. Some of their most popular items are their compressors, some of their mixing consoles, some of their vintage stuff, very, very sought after stuff. They kind of paved the way in a lot of areas of engineering. So Universal Audio hardware kind of pushes the boundaries between software and hardware, allowing you to emulate a lot of hardware effects, a lot of these different outboard pieces of gear that are expensive to own. It allows you to basically use those with processing power in the interface without taking away from your computer and emulate those same warm tones and sounds of like compressors and EQs. You got a lot of reverb, delay, chorus effects, things like that. Now they're adding a lot more synths and different plugins that you can kind of get a lot more creative with. That being said, they released Spark plugin as a way for anybody to use their plugins and get a similar sound. And so this all runs natively on your computer, whether you have a Mac or a PC. It allows you to use your computer's processing power to use those same plugins. If you do own any UAD hardware, you can actually download those same native plugins via the UAD Center app. So make sure to check that out. A lot of the plugins previously that you were able to use, you had to have UAD hardware plugged in. That's kind of one of the downfalls I felt like with UAD, is that you would be mixing a project in your studio. Maybe you have one of the UAD interfaces and you just couldn't do that when you're on the airplane or you're at the airport or you're in somebody else's studio that doesn't use a UAD interface. You couldn't use those same plugins. So now you're able to use a lot of those same plugins natively on your computer. If your computer has enough processing power, and that's a whole nother conversation in itself, you're able to use those plugins natively on the go. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop in and we're going to look at what plugins come in the UAD Spark package. So let's do this. We are looking at, in our plugins, we are looking at all of the 20 plugins that this UAD Spark package comes with. It's a lot of things, from compressors to EQs to reverbs, choruses, and some synths. So let's hop in and just start from the top. It looks like we have a couple 1176s, and these 1176s are just kind of your classic UAD compressors, input output, and you have your ratios that you can mess around with, a ton of different presets that you can kind of go through, carve out the sound that you want. To 1176, you have an AE and you have a Rev, and so you get both versions, kind of a classic and a more updated. You have an API, bus compressor, API, very classic. They make a lot of really, really good pieces of hardware. You have an API channel strip here, and in this channel strip you have filter control, you have a compressor, you have EQ, pretty good chunk of control there. We have a chorus plugin, so here is a chorus plugin here. You've got the Galaxy Tape Echo. This is one of my favorite. I actually bought this one a while back. Really cool tape echo. Throw some effects on. And you can see what some of these effects can really do to a sound. Let's put the chorus on it. We're going to keep going. We've got an EQ, UAD EQ. Go in here and cut all the low end out. Bump the gain. Tons of different presets, like I said. You have an EQ and mastering by Hitsville. So if you want to dive a little deeper into some real mixing, carving out those frequencies and getting a really great master, UAD has some really good mastering plugins. So we got the LA2 classic compressor, bunch of different settings you could pick from. Bumped that way up. Another LA2A gray compressor. So same thing. Compression, input output ratio. You can mess around with some of those different presets. You have the LA2A silver. And so these all count as one plugin. They're just different versions of that same piece of hardware. So keep that in mind. That's why it says 20, but there's really about 25. You've got the classic Lexicon 224. This guy is sitting on a lot of people's consoles in their studios, and it's been around for a while. You can put it way in the back if you wanted to play around with some of that reverb. That's another one of my faves. You've got synthesizers now. They've added this one pretty recently, I think about last year. It's a Moog synth. Lots of fun stuff you could do with these synths, and they sound really good. All right, you have the Neve 1073. This is another one that's a classic. You carve out some of those frequencies. Here's another synth. This one is the Opal Morphing Synth. This one looks really cool. And you could play around with all the oscillators, change up the different wave type that you want. And it's got some really good presets too, so if you wanted to dive in there and take one of those presets and, you know, make it your own, there's a ton to choose from. Here's another synth, Polymax. And this one, same thing, it's got a lot of really cool presets. And then we go down to our EQ, Pultec. Pultec EQ is another classic. You'll see a lot of these in a lot of people's studios as well. I don't know why I put that kick preset on there, but you get the idea. It's an EQ. It's got a lot of a room for adjustment in those frequency ranges. Here's a more basic EQ. This is the same thing, Pultec, just a different version of the same thing. And even though I say different version of the same thing, they do give you a different color of your sound. So keep that in mind when you are diving between these different plugins. Some are better with specific sounds than others, you know, so definitely keep that in mind and dive into some of those presets. Like I always say, that you can find some good presets in here that will save you some time and also help you carve out the sound that you're looking for, you know. And if you've been using EQs for a long time or compression for a long time, then you know the basics, you know where to go, you know how to kind of dive in here and use those settings. You have this plate reverb. That's with it off. You can really add a lot of dramatics to your music with some of these reverbs. We have a tape machine, a tape recorder. So this will, add some warmth, add some punch, depending on what you're using it for. And they have the different tape types that you can use. So this is a fun one to kind of dive into and play around with. This plugin was actually a really popular plugin when it dropped. And now that you can use it natively, I'm sure a lot of people are going to go for this plugin again. We have a chorus, and this is a Studio D chorus, but there's without it, and there's with it. So I could see that coming in handy down the road here. And then finally, we have an organ. The B3, super popular. I have this organ in Analog Labs. I'd be interested to do a comparison in the Analog Lab versus the UAD. Yeah, and there's our rotary view. And that's really cool that you can actually see, where this guy is, what it's doing. And you have control over pretty much everything in here. Being able to control that sound, move those mics around. Very, very cool. Shout out to our sponsors today, Crate Connect Digital Record Pool, providing tons of new music, new releases, hundreds of different genres and chart-topping hits, everything and anything, instrumentals, acapellas, Latin, moombahton, techno, dancehall, even country music. So if you're a DJ and you want to spruce up your music library, this is a great tool to utilize. The price is just right with different options from 30 days, 90 days, and 180 days with high resolution audio. This is a great option for anybody wanting to expand their DJ library. They even have a clothing shop. This one's my favorite. Make sure to hop on over, check out Crate Connect. I will be putting a link in the description below, which will include a discounted price. So make sure to hop on that while it lasts. So that is all 20 of the Spark UAD plugins, something to mix, something to get creative with. So it starts at $19 a month. You have a full year membership that is $149, which cuts the cost down a little bit. If you're somebody that wants to try a lot of the UAD plugins and kind of get a feel for them, see if you like them, this is kind of a good way to hop in and check out some of their basic plugins, but also some fun plugins that they have there too. So definitely check them out. I'll leave a link in the description below, and let me know, are you a UAD user? Do you have a UAD interface? What do you think? How long have you been using it? Let me know. Put in the comments below. That's going to be it for today's Music Gear Monday. I'm Carl Carell. I'll catch you guys here next week. Peace.